Welcome students. Let's start third unit. Let's start a fresh unit. Its third unit is HDTV, that is high definition television system. We have seen analog televisions, digital televisions. In this lecture, we will see what is high definition televisions. Topics that we will cover in this particular unit are introduction to different terms related to HDTV, introduction to the HDTV. It is a short introduction to the HDTV. Then we will see what is actually the HDTV, how it works. Then we will see different standards related to the HDTV transmitter and receiver block diagrams. We will see in detail. Then we will study digital television satellite systems also. Elements in digital television satellite system. This also we will go in detail with each and every element related to the satellite system. Next we will see video on demand, CCTV, CATV, direct to home televisions. Next we will see set-top box with the recording facility, different conditional access systems, 3D TV systems, HD video cameras and digital broadcasting. This is all the syllabus related to this third unit. Now let us start with the introduction to the HDTV. HDTV, it is a high definition television, a digital broadcasting standard that offers pictures and audio superior to that of the traditional standard definition television. Means it gives a superior video quality than the analog television or traditional televisions that were being used before some time. But what is actually HDTV? It is a high definition television. By the early 1990s, long-running international development effort aimed at creating a higher quality television signal that had covered on digital transmission in place of traditional analog radio waves. In 1998, John Glenn, a former astronaut and the US Senator, went on a space flight with a launch broadcasting live in high definition to specify equipped museums, electronic stores, and other locations also. By the middle of the next decade, many broadcast networks and cable outlets offer HDTV channel and HDTV sets were widely available for the consumers. The HDTV broadcast by cable or satellite or other ultraviolet frequencies portion of public airways at a bandwidth of 6 MHz offers video resolution of 1920 by 1028 pixels. Many times it is greater than the HDTV. Okay, the lowest high resolution standard is 720 pixels or 720 progressive scans for resolutions of 1280 by 720, in which all the rows are refreshed together in each display cycle. Okay, getting the meaning of high definition television? Let us see high definition television. It is the engineering history, means it is a history making thing in the engineering to invent a high definition television. The world is moving towards the high definition television, so they say don't buy regular television. Now they are going to be better in every way when HDTV comes into market. Some of the many phrases dropped by people who are loosely following the HDTV efforts, when asked, how do you know? These people confidently responded with, because technology is just going to get better and better each and every day. Through HDTV is a resolution, the world and the technology is getting better. Very little thought is put into the effort done by the engineering in leading companies. The people expect televisions to constantly improve, but these improvements do not occur on their own. Rather, they arise from many different factors, such as nationalistic politicians who pushed American companies to develop HDTV, the computer industry pushing for digital television, or engineers inventing new ideas. This is how HDTV have become a history in the engineering. It means that, in short, we can say that HDTV, that is high definition television, is a television display technology that provides the picture qualities similar to 35mm movies with sound quality similar to that of today's compact disc. Some television stations have begun transmitting HDTV broadcasts to users on a limited number of channels. So, HGTV generally uses digital rather than analog signal transmission. However, in Japan, the first analog HGTV program that was broadcast on June 3, 1989, the first image appear was the was the Statue of Liberty and New York Harbor. It requires a 20 megahertz channel, which is why analog HGTV broadcasting is not feasible in most countries. HDTV and standard definition televisions are the two categories of display formats for digital television transmission, okay, which are becoming the standards for the transmission of digital television. Here, high definition television provides a higher quality display with a vertical resolution display of 720 into 1080 pixels. The P stands for progressive scanning, which means that each scan includes every line for a complete picture, and I stands for interlace scanning, which means that each scan includes alternate lines for half a picture. We have seen interlace scanning and progressive scanning in first unit. Okay, what is actually interlace scanning? What is progressive scanning? Which scanning is provides us a high definition image and video or picture, everything, and which gives a better bandwidth. That also we have gone in detail in between this between these two scanning processes. These rates of translate into frame rate of up to 60 megahertz per second, that is twice of the conventional television. One of the HGTV's most prominent feature is its wider aspects. The width to height ratio of the screen is 16 is to 9, a development based on research showing that viewers' experience is enhanced by the screens that are wider. HDTV pixel numbers range from 1 to million. Okay, compared to SDTV's range, it is 30,000 to the 1 million. New television sets that will be either HDTV capable of SDTV capable with receivers that can convert the signal to their native display formats. And by considering the audio formats or the by considering the audio quality, the HDTV receives the produces and output Dolby Digital, that is 5.1. Okay, in the United States, the FCC has assigned broadcast channels for DTV transmission. In SDTV formats, DTV make it possible to use the designated channels for multiple signals at current quality levels instead of single signals at HDTV levels. Okay, which would allow more programming with the same bandwidth. Users means they can access more programming with the same bandwidth and having the HDTV experience. Commercial and public broadcast stations are currently deciding exactly how they will implement their use of HDTV. Now let us see let us see little bit idea about analog TVs and digital TVs. Analog TVs where we were using by using the analog signals for the years. Watching TV that has involved analog signals and cathode ray tube sets. Okay, CRT tubes we were using at the back end of the television set. The signal is made of continually varying radio waves that the TV translates into picture and sound. An analog signal that can reach a person's TV over the air through a cable or via satellite. Okay, the digital signal like the ones from DVD players are converted to the analog when played on traditional televisions or analog televisions. Okay, this system has worked pretty well for long time, but it has some limitations also. Conventional CRT sets display around 480 visible lines of pixels. Broadcasters have been sending the signals that work well with this resolution for a number of years, and they can't fit enough resolution to fill a huge television into the analog signals. Okay, so the analog pictures are interlaced pictures. A CRT's electron gun paints only half the line for each pass down the screen. On some television, interlacing makes the picture flicker. Converting video to analog format lowers its quality. Okay, while converting analog formats video to analog formatting, its quality will be lowering. So United States broadcasting is currently changing the digital televisions. A digital signal transmits the information for video and sound as one and zeros instead of wave. In the analog, it was used as analog signals, means it was used as a waveform. Okay, but in the digital television it was used as a zeros and ones as a digital signals. For over the years, the broadcasting television will generally use the ultra high frequency portions of the radio spectrum with the 6 megahertz bandwidth, just like the analog television signals do. Okay, but DTV have several advantages over the analog televisions. The picture, even when displayed on the same small televisions also, it is having a better quality on small televisions as well as on big televisions. It is having a better quality than the analog television. The digital signal that can support a higher resolution, so the picture will still look very good when shows on the larger television screens also. Means smaller television, larger scale televisions, it shows a very good, or it shows a clear picture. The video that can be progressive rather than interlaced. The screen shows the entire picture for every frame instead of every other line of pixels. Okay, the stations that can broadcast several signals using the same bandwidth, that is called as multitasking. Okay, sorry, multicasting. It was done in the digital televisions. If broadcasters choose to, they can include interactive content or additional information with the DTV signals also. It can support the high definition, that is HDTV broadcasting also. Is DTV was supporting the HDTV broadcasting also. So DTV was having number of advantages over analog television. So that after the analog television, DTV was used very in a very big manner. DTV has one really big disadvantage, that is analog televisions can't decode and display digital signals. When analog broadcaster ends, you will only be able to watch TV on your trusty old set if you have cable or satellite service transmitting the analog signals, or if you have set-top box to digital converter. This brings us to the first big misconception about HDTV. Okay, some people believe that United States is switching to HDTV, that all they will need for HDTV is a new TV, and they will automatically have HDTV when analog services ends. Unfortunately, none of this is true. This is the misconception about the HDTV. HDTV is just part of a DTV transition. It is nothing but different. It is just a DTV transition, only high definition. It is better resolution and better clarity than the digital televisions. Now let us have a short idea about the DTV versus HDTV. Means how HDTV is nothing but a version of DTV. But let us see what is the difference between the two. The Advanced Television Standards Committee has set voluntary standards for digital television. These standards include how sounds and video are encoded and transmitted. They will also provide guidelines for different levels of quality. All of the digital standards, they are better in quality than analog signals. HDTV standards are the top tier of the digital signals. The ATSC has created 18 commonly used digital broadcasting formats for video transmission. The lowest quality digital format is about the same as that of the higher quality and analog TV can display. Means the lowest quality in HDTV or DTV is equivalent to the highest quality in the analog televisions. The 18 formats cover, there are different 18 formats, they are covered in the DTV televisions. Okay, it means that the ATSC had set up voluntary standards for digital television. These standards include how sound and video they are encoded and transmitted after that. They also provide the guidelines for the different levels of qualities also, for providing different levels of qualities of the video and sound also. All the digital standards that are better in quality than the analog signals. Okay. ATSC that has created 18 commonly used digital broadcasting formats for the video. The lowest quality of higher digital format is about the same as that of the highest quality of the analog TV that can display, that we have seen just now. Now let's move to the next point, that is HDTV standards and different systems related to the HDTV. Now let us see what are the different HDTV standards. HDTV that has a 16:9 aspect ratio, that is more likely a movie screen. Okay, then the resolution of HDTV the lowest standard resolution HDTV will be about the same as the analog TV, and that will go with the 704 into 480 pixels. But the high definition HDTV resolution is 1920 into 1080 pixels. HDTV that can display about 10 times as many pixels as that of the analog TV sets, means it is having very high resolution. That's why high definition television name indicates, and very high resolution, very clear picture, and good audio quality also. The frame rate related to the HDTV, we will see a set's frame rate describes how many times it can create a complete picture on the screen every second. Okay, that is nothing but a frame rate, means after each and every second how many times it is creating a complete picture, that is a frame rate. DTV frame rate usually ends in I or P to denote whether they are interlaced or progressive, means I means interlaced scanning and P means progressive scanning. These two are the formats for showing the frame rates related to the DTV. The DTV frame rate that ranges from 24 pixels, that is 24 frames per second progressive, to 60 pixels, that is 60 frames per second progressive. But the resolution of 19 into 20 into 1080 pixel that can display the 60 frame per second, means the DTV that provides 24 frames per second and 60 frames per second, and the HDTV that can provide 60 frames per second. Here the broadcaster, they get to decide which of this format they will use and whether they will broadcast in high definition or not. Many are already using digital and high definition signals. The electronic manufacturers, they get to decide which aspect ratios and resolutions their TVs will use. So the consumers, they can get to decide which resolutions are most important to them to buy their new equipments based on that, so that by using that different resolutions or different standards, they can broadcast over a television, high definition television sets. Until the analog shut off date, the broadcasters will have two available channels to send the signals, a channel for analog and a virtual channel for digital. Okay, these are the two channels they can use for the purpose of transmission, analog transmission and digital transmission. Right now the people, they can watch an over the air digital signal only if they are tuned into the broadcaster's virtual digital signal, means for the purpose of digital signal the virtual digital channel is needed to be accessed, and for the purpose of analog signals a channel that is to be accessed from a broadcasters. After analog broadcasting ends, the only signal people will receive over the air will be a digital signals. However, even though a digital signal that is having a better quality than the analog signal, it is very necessary to high definition, it should be very high definition. HDTV is simply the highest of all the DTV standards, means DTV is not exactly equivalent to HDTV. HDTV is next version to DGTV. It is actually a digital television, but it provides a high definition, means it provides over a large screen, it provides better frame rate, better resolutions. That is nothing but it is the highest of all the DTV standards. But whether you will see a high definition picture and hear that particular Dolby digital sound, that depends on the two things. First thing, the stations has to be broadcasting a high definition signal. If you are having a high definition television set, but the station that is broadcasting is not going to broadcast the high definition signal, it is broadcasting the DTV signal only the digital signal, but it is not high definition signal, then you will not be able to have the same experience as that of you was having with the HDTV signals that was broadcasting. The second thing is you have to have the right equipment to receive and view it, means whatever the digital high definition television you are having, for the purpose, if the broadcaster are broadcasting that high definition signal and you are not having the equipment that can receive that high definition television signal, then you will not be able to receive that signal, you will not be able to have the same experience as that of the HDTV signal over the HDTV television sets you can have when the broadcaster are broadcasting the high definition signals. Now we can say that while buying a DTV, that digital television, while buying a high definition digital television, the DTV transition is not the first change to the TV signals. In 1946, the National Television System Committee, that is NTSC, we have seen in the first unit, that began setting standards for American broadcasting. In 1953, NTSC standards changed to allow the color television. Means in initial stages in 1946 we were using the black and white, okay, that particular black and white NTSC system, but in 1953 NTSC allowed the changes. They have changed the standards for the color television, and in 1984 they changed to allow the stereo sounds also. Means initially only black and white, then color was allowed, and then stereo sound also was allowed. Means in picture and in sound, in both the terms they were allowing a better experience. So those changes that were different from the DTV switch, because they were backward compatible. You could watch the new signal on your trusty old television. With DTV you will need some new gear up, and the gear you choose will affect whether you can receive and view that particular high definition videos. You can learn about buying a DTV sets, how digital television works here. Now let us see. When you start shopping a HDTV, keep in mind that HDTV requires the three parts: a source such as local, cable or satellite DTV station, that is a source of transmission of that particular high definition signals; a way to receive the signals like antenna, cable or satellite services. These are the ways to receive the signals, and HDTV set also for the purpose of having a better high definition experience. These are the three things you have to keep in mind while buying a HDTV televisions. Here we can have one thing in mind. Most of the people they are choosing an integrated HDTV. This integrated HDTV has a digital tuner, also known as a ATSC tuner, that is built-in tuner. Okay, if a station near you is broadcasting in the HDTV, you can attach an antenna to the integrated set and watch the stations in high definitions. Okay, next one is an HDTV ready set. It also called as a HDTV monitor, which does not have an HDTV tuner inside it, or it is not having an inbuilt HDTV tuner which was in an integrated television. HDTV ready sets often has an NTSC tuner, so you can still watch the analog TVs with them. This is the option for you if you want to have a HDTV capabilities later on but aren't ready for the financial commitment now. Means by using that HDTV ready sets you can watch analog signals also and digital signals also. Your picture quality that will still be better than an old analog television set, but it won't be high definition until you get an HDTV receiver. Means by this receiver you can only get the analog signals and have a better picture quality, but not exactly equal to when you having a HDTV receiver. So designing and building an HDTV that could display all the ATSC formats, it would be virtually impossible. For this reason, the HDTV that have one or the two native resolutions, when the TV receives the signals, it will scale the signals to match its native resolution and de-interlace the signal if it is necessary. A good rule of thumb is to choose a set that has a native resolution matching to the signals that you plan to use most often. The film fans that will generally want display with the highest possible resolution. Sports fan will generally want display with the highest possible progressive frame rate. That are the different things. The highest resolution, highest frame rate. They are the different things. If you receive a signal that has a significantly lower resolution, then the screen can display all the extra pixels that won't help it will look better. Okay, this is why some people who have bought HDTV have been dismayed the quality of the picture. The existing analog signal just doesn't have enough details to look good on the high definition set. So while having high definition television set, you should have a tuner, ATSC tuner inside it, and a better receiver, HDTV receiver also. As broadcasters change to digital signal, this problem will be improved sustainably. Now let's see some of the options for getting a signal to your television sets, as well as a compatibility of your existing home entertainment equipment, means for getting that particular HDTV signals over your existing television sets. The equipments and signals needed for that: when you have found an HDTV with a screen size, aspect ratio and native resolution that you want, you will need to make sure that equipment you already own will work with it. Okay, if you already have a DVD player, a DVR game controller, or other equipment, that make sure that they can connect to the TV direct or through an audio visual receivers. Okay, many HDTVs that is having high definition multimedia interface HDMI connections, when they can transmit audios or visual signals to the TV without the compression. Okay, in some cases you can use the adapters to make your equipment compatible with your set, means by using that adapter you can connect different equipments to that particular television set. Once you have picked up your set and install it in your home, you will need to get a signal that you can use an antenna, a cable, or the satellite services. Antenna that you are using here, depending on your location relative to the stations you want to watch, a set of rabbit ears might do. Okay, that is a rabbit ear antenna, but you might need a rooftop antenna also. Okay, rabbit ear antenna that is needed for getting the different signals at that particular location, and rooftop antenna is also needed for the purpose of getting that signals in a proper manner. So you can buy an antenna that's specially made for digital signals, but any reliable, that is very high frequency or ultra high frequency antenna, that will work here. Next you have to consider is cable. Keep in mind that the digital cables, that is not the same as that of a HDTV cables. You will need to check with your provider to determine which packages include HDTV stations, so that you will also either need a set-top box cable box or a cable card to allow your televisions to receive that particular and decode that cable signal that was broadcasted by the cable provider. Next thing you have to consider is satellite service. The satellite service, as with the cable, check with your provider to determine which plans and station they are using HDTV signals. Here you may need to different satellite dish and tuner to receive the HDTV signals via the satellite. Okay, different dishes and the what you can tuners, different tuner circuits you have to use for the purpose of receiving satellite signal that were broadcast by satellite services. Getting clear about the HDTV standards and different systems related to that. Okay, now let us move towards one short point, that is visual response and in that particular high definition television. Regarding to that particular visual response to high definition television, we can say that the human vision that responds rapidly to the gross details of bright or moving objects, particularly in a peripheral vision, but does not perceive their fine details or colors in a proper way. Okay, conversely we can say that to perceive fine details or colors, they are requires the object to be stationary for longer period. Means if a human eye that should pick up the proper color, proper size, proper different characteristics of that particular image or the thing, that should be still, or that should be in a stationary position for longer period, so that a human eye can catch up that properly, or for the eye to track a slowly moving object, that is, and freeze it on the retina, means that is slowly moving object that we can freeze on the retina. Thus the efforts to avoid the flicker by transmitting all the color and details of both moving and stationary image at the same maximum rate, that is 60 pictures per second. That was the rate for the HDTV, as the analog TV would be not giving this much particular frame rate, are unnecessary. The eye cannot perceive all of it, means it cannot be done by the open eyes. The groups they are developing HDTV system, they have used knowledge gathered in experimental work on visual perception to reduce the picture information that must be transmitted here. The digital processing techniques are used to send the picture in low resolution at a rapid rate, so that rapidly moving portions of the picture they are seen quickly, and to also send the pictures in high definition or high resolutions and full color at slower rate, so that the still portions that can be seen in detail by the human eyes. Okay, the television receivers then uses the digital signal processing techniques for the purpose of constructing the picture in the memory of humans, a human eye, for which it is flashed onto the screen 60 times per second. Okay, this technique reduces the bandwidth that is required to transmit the TV pictures to a fraction of that of the particular television sets. So for this purpose, the various proposals for advanced TV system they uses the combinations of analog and digital techniques to improve the pictures that can be seen on the receiver. The process that is required for generating a picture, this process results in the analog signal coming from the camera that is in with a continuously varying voltage or current that is proportional to the high brightness of the each point of the scene. Okay, the PCM process that begins by sampling continuously varying analog signals. Okay, the sampling rate that is usually at least twice the highest frequency of the analog signal. That particular result is a series of pulses whose amplitude corresponds to the analog signal at regular discrete times, so that we can combine the analog and digital both the signals and have a good quality of picture.